I remember sometime in the year 2008 in Mombasa town, contemplating on the next move, and especially on what I was going to do with my life. I got a call from my mom telling me of a program she had heard called the upgrading program that allowed one to apply for a minimum of one subject at K.C.S.E level and improve on the grade. It turned out to be one of the best things that I had at that year, and it changed me completely. After doing lots of visits to colleges, polytechnics and universities looking for an avenue to pursue something mathematical, with my mathematics grade making it worse all the time, I saw a breakthrough that could put me in the line of mathematics. I immediately signed up for it. I applied for mathematics with my main aim of getting the grade A. I also applied for English and business studies, subjects that I felt I could improve. Coming from a class where the best grade in mathematics was a D+, myself getting a D-, I had seen it all, the challenge firsthand. I knew very well that I had joined the majority class, since most people fail in mathematics. But then, what if I rise from this situation? This is where the grade A approach to life sets in. Are you able to make a challenge a fortune? You've got to have a proper self-concept. You've got to know your abilities and talents, because these are the very things that remain intact in spite of any challenge that you may encounter along the way. That year, I made Kenya National Library my home. Studied for the exam 100% on my own during daytime. And at Aga Khan Sports Club on evenings, playing table tennis, being among the few invited by the coaches to offer something extra to the trainees. My love for the brand Aga Khan grew at that time. So I did the exam in October and November of that year, and the results were out the following year, 2009. My target of grade A in mathematics was met with a C-, an improvement from a D-. I had also improved in English, this time around getting a C, being improvement from a D+ that I had earlier. I also got the same grade C that I had, but then I had some work to do. I began searching for what to do with what I had got, my 2 certificates. Among the many visits I made that time, I visited Kenyatta University. I also visited University of Nairobi, my dream university, because by that time my urge to study education, maths major and physics was very strong. I had a thirst for mathematics that I needed to quench. Didn't get any breakthrough yet, and that was when I was advised to consider primary teaching, since through it I could still pursue the mathematics that I really had wanted and then grow from there. I paid a visit to the educational office near my home area with the aim of applying to join one of the public teacher training colleges, only to be told that with my 2 certificates that I had, that I could not apply, since my mean grade was still a C-, below the minimum grade C that was required, or else pursue early childhood education that required a C- mean grade. Did I waste the year 2008 sitting for an exam for all to be in vain? No way. At this point, I knew I had really great questions that needed answers. I kept checking on the magazines. Later that year, I saw a breakthrough with one of the constituent colleges of the Catholic University of East Africa by the name Immersed, where the only option I had was that of doing a bridging course for mathematics and then later on pursue my course. I decided to pursue that, and I really convinced my parents for it. And that marks the first of the many trips that I made to Nairobi, this time to Immersed. I remember it was during orientation day that my dad and I were seated outside the reception office. Speeches were going on the other side of the compound. My dad contemplating on every bit of what we had been told at the office. That's the time my dad spoke to me with a sincere voice that he couldn't manage the expense and the stay at Karen. I had also gotten a clear picture. On the positive side, I felt good because we had tried. We discussed our next move right there before we left for home. We had to revisit primary teaching, and indeed, that's what we did next. The thought of Bura TTC in Taita came to our attention. That was to be our next move. At Bura Teachers College, I expressed my situation to them, that I had 2 certificates and that I really wanted to join their college. Was informed to seek clarification from the Kenya National Examination Council office on whether I could do my P1 course, and so I made my second trip to Nairobi, this time to the Kenya National Examination Council offices. Being one of the pioneers for the program, I just did not know much about it. And I think not knowing much about it, asking many questions, made me get some good answers that allowed me to make a positive stride in life. In my mind, I knew very well that I had improved in mathematics and English, and therefore having my new grades with a combination of grades from my other subjects, the points will make a mean of C. So I had the mathematical grade in my mind. NEC agreed to respond to the college, and true to their words, I managed to join the college in 2009, September. I felt really privileged, and indeed, my stay at the library in the year 2008 wasn't in vain. That sacrifice paid off. I remember I had carried with me a Form 2 mathematics textbook that I used to go through while in college. And I really spent a lot of time at the library studying mathematics content. I remember one of my friends asking to know why I spent a lot of time at the library studying mathematics. I also used to study a lot of what couldn't be tested in the exams, but content that grew me as a person. At Bura TTC, I took up the chance to train table tennis to the girls at Bura Girls. I shared my love for the game whenever I had a chance to. I completed my course in August of 2011 and was back at Aga Khan for table tennis, though not as competitive as in 2008. I also had embarked on the teaching of mathematics, something that I began in 2010 while still in college. In 2012, results were released, but mine were withheld. Did I waste my 2 years in college for all to be in vain? But then the principal managed to pursue my case, and in the end, I was rewarded with my results and graduated with the rest. In that period that I was in college, I got to meet one motivational speaker by the name Pepe Minambo. He introduced me to the power of motivation and the power of a book. I felt really inspired by his talk to journey my course. So immediately I completed my studies, I took to the library again, made the place my home. That's the time I got to go through a book that I spotted in 2008 titled Guidelines for Teaching Secondary Mathematics, written by Donovan A. Johnson and others. I just wanted to get a clear picture on what the whole aspect of mathematics and teaching is all about. I wanted to understand the reason as to why we fail miserably as a class. And these are in brief the things that I learned. That the greatest difficulties are motivation, individual differences, or discipline. And then, background required of a mathematics teacher. A mathematics teacher must motivate his students, communicate his knowledge to them, and guide them to discover ideas. These are the very aspects that form the pillars in building my momentum for mathematics. Aspects highly related to what I felt I had missed back in secondary school. In 2012, I began hanging around a school by the name Makupa Primary, chipping in for mathematics whenever a chance arose. It's at the same time also that I made a trip to Nairobi, my third trip, this time to a school. They wanted a teacher, only to be told after I arrived that they wanted an experienced teacher. So it is at the same time that I made my second round to universities and ended up making a stop at the University of Nairobi campus in Mombasa for what proved to be my last visit, and indeed to other universities. I had a conviction that I will in the end join my dream university no matter what. At the University of Nairobi, I was told to pursue a diploma from a recognized institution, and with that, I will then qualify for a degree. This formed the basis for my next move. I needed a diploma to set my mathematics base. Then I also had a dream job at that time, teaching mathematics at Aga Khan schools. I made my first visit there as a primary school teacher with the aim of teaching mathematics. But then I was told that my mathematics grade was just too low. And that is the point it became clear to me that I really had to improve on my mathematics grade no matter what. That inspired me for the sake of my dream job. These two crucial aspects inspired me to take action: a diploma and a grade in mathematics, and a good grade in mathematics. I used to operate tuitions from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. in mathematics for primary students and for secondary students on the concepts that I had mastered at that particular time. I also operated as a part-time taxi driver, and I really learned a lot from the inspiration I got from the people I shared my journey with. That year, I got my first job at an academy in Chuda, a job that took me through the year. Highly in need of money, I took the opportunity, but then there was this big challenge that I had to carry with me. I got allocated subjects to teach completely not in line of my specialty. As a primary school teacher, you just get allocated any subject. I still stood firm on my mathematics journey, improving myself whenever I got some free time. I remember one of my colleagues wanting to know the reason as to why I always had mathematics books with me while I was not even teaching the subjects. I knew what I was doing. My precious time was during evenings from 6 to 9 p.m., a time that I used to attend to my mathematics tuitions. In that year, my combined efforts could earn me at least slightly above 20,000 shillings. But then in 2013, I had to sacrifice all for the sake of my mathematics. I really needed to be at a place where I could teach mathematics and gain that much needed experience. Arrangements were made and I moved back home. joined one of the public schools by the name Dome Primary as a PTA teacher. I began by earning 3,500 for the first 2 months before I requested for an increase to 5,000 that I earned for the rest of the months in 2013 and the whole of 2014. The most important thing for me was that I had gotten a chance to be in an environment that I craved for, mathematics teaching. So in the year 2013, I enrolled for a diploma, this time in early childhood education, which I completed in December of 2014 through a school-based program. Though I had earned less, I had one of the best platforms to grow myself. I had got the chance to package myself the way I wanted through studying motivational content, broadening my knowledge in secondary mathematics through the books that I had invested in, gaining that experience of teaching mathematics in a school setup, and the greatest of all is that I had gotten a chance to think. So the year 2013, I got the privilege to teach mathematics in Standard 7, although with some few other subjects in Class 5 and Class 6. But then in 2014, I got the privilege of taking my mathematics learners to Class 8, the candidate class. And I also became their class teacher. And this is the year that I can count to be my best. A year that I spent doing everything in mathematics. This is the year that I came up with the idea of running a mathematics club with the intention of improving the mathematics in the school. I just wanted to broaden up on the pillars that I talked of earlier. I requested for the passionate ones to join. This is the time that gave rise to Doc Mathematics, though I didn't think of that name that way at that particular time. There is this challenge that I encountered in 2013, the T.S.E. number. Like any other teacher, I submitted my application to the T.S.E. office and waited to receive my T.S.E. number in 3 months' time. Afterwards, only to receive a letter through the post office, thinking it was for my T.S.E. number, but only to find out a document that stipulated clearly how I wasn't qualified to be a teacher in the first place. I had to make my 4th trip, this time to the Teachers Service Commission, to explain myself. It wasn't easy trying to explain myself to the quality assurance officers, but then one of them took a keen interest in my story. Listened to me so well as I explained myself. They, in the end, told me they had never heard of such a story like mine, and that my case was one of a kind, and some even getting to know of the upgrading program through me. The T.S.E. number was something very important for my mathematics dream. I had to fight for it. Everything was handled so well for me. They sent me to the NEC, the Kenya National Examination Council offices for clarification, and indeed I had qualified for the course. Then the Kenya National Examination Council informed me that they will respond to the Teachers Service Commission in a fortnight's time. So I was back home, continued doing my work. I reached out to the T.S.E. afterwards to confirm whether NEC had responded, but they confirmed to me that they had not received anything. I had to make my 5th trip to Nairobi. First, to the Teachers Service Commission, where I was told on what to do, which I pursued at the Kenya National Examination Council offices. In the end, they located the letter, and that is how I got my T.S.E. number. There was this experience that I had in 2015, in the year 2014 as a class teacher of Standard 8. It really got me into deep thinking. I used to collect money, and most of the PTA money for my class, around 40 shillings monthly, a collection that made my salary, and sometimes in my records, you'd get to see so many gaps, money unpaid. And so sometimes we had to send learners home for money, because most of the time it also affected my pay directly. But then, one time I took my class for the burial of the father of one of my students who had committed suicide. It was so heartbreaking. A girl I used to send home, and sometimes she could come back with nothing. It really changed my viewpoint on something. Indeed, someone could do something, because let's face it, how many children are having it rough out here? And yet some of us, the teachers, concentrate on just covering the syllabus. Indeed, somebody has to inspire them. They need well-thought ideas on how to cope with challenges in life, because so many of them look beaten on all angles. Somebody has to stand up for them, and that is why my mathematics classes are different. And I can only teach mathematics with the vision in my mind. I can only teach mathematics my way. The reason I decided to brand what I do at Doc Mathematics. I used to sacrifice my time to visit the nearest secondary school, Magogo Secondary School, to train table tennis on the skills that I had. Since most were starters, I knew I could improve them. I just did it whenever I found time. No one pays you for that. You just show up, because with that, you get to meet and interact with so many people. I just love the aspect of inspiring people towards something. Show them the way. Let them maximize on their own ways based on their dedication and hard work. By early 2015, I knew I was qualified for a degree at the University of Nairobi. A mathematics teacher with the much needed experience. But there came the most important question. Which degree course was I going to pursue at this point? Meet me in the next part of this video as I discuss my next mathematics strategy.